directly increases mortality by 2-folds. That's 200%. 5 microgram increase increases mortality by 4. Now see the exponential rise. 10 microgram increase, mortality increases by 8%. 35 microgram increase of PM 2.5 increases mortality to 24%. The WHO norms and international norms of PM 2.5 or AQI in a different manner is less than 50. Some countries take it as 35. India runs about 200 to 250 in good months. Delhi runs about 500, 600 in bad months. And when it reaches 999, we stop counting. That's peak of winter. So you can well imagine what it's going to do to our mortality. Every 1 microgram increase of PM 2.5 causes 12,000 additional deaths. Every 1% increase in SOx, NOx, and carbon monoxide increases myocardial infarction and stroke risk by 2-fold. The time of exposure is extremely important. More number of minutes you're exposed to this polluted environment, the more you breathe that toxic air, increases your death rate. 1 microgram increase corresponds to mortality and mortality, morbidity and mortality. We spoke very briefly in the last session with regards to the trees. Please understand, this gentleman who's speaking to you, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, has actually taken the city of Delhi to court, including NGT being a collateral partner, for tree felling in residential colonies, and the verdict is in our favor, and the final hearing is in July. You cannot cut a tree, period. There are norms which have been set up now, and Justice Waziri had given a landmark judgment which is being now implemented in various other states of India. Every tree which is cut increases your black carbon percentage by 48 to 57% in the periphery of that tree. 15 minutes of exposure causes respiratory distress. 1 or 2 days of continuous exposure can predispose to myocardial infarction and strokes. 3 to 5 days can have sudden cardiac arrest. There is also a very detailed study in this year in March in medical magazine known as Nature, in which there is a 20 to 25% underreporting of PM 2.5 as far as reflection of AQI is concerned, which is because of the relative humidity and temperature, which is not taken into account when these measurements are done. So when you talk in terms of ambient 2.5 and 5, it causes pulmonary reflex abnormalities, pulmonary inflammation, endothelial, that means your blood vessels get damaged. It causes atherosclerosis, plaque formation, and ultimately myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack, or arrhythmias, in which you call an abnormal heart rate. There is multi-organ involvement, and I've written the percentages. I won't read each and every line, but it involves the heart, your lungs, your brain, strokes, dementia, Alzheimer's, memory loss, mood swings, aggression, mental health issues, gastrointestinal infections, including cancers of the lung, brain, stomach. It involves the pregnancy, the fetus, the unborn fetus, going into newborns. 10 microgram increase in PM 2.5 to the mother causes an IUGR, which is intrauterine growth retardation, almost 1.5 times more. Metabolic diseases, diabetes, obesity. There is studies now in Lancet which have shown a 2-fold increase with every 10 microgram of PM 2.5 increase with obesity and diabetes. Insulin resistance, genetics, it damages your chromosomes. Kidneys, immune dysfunction, peripheral vascular diseases, thromboembolic phenomena, allergies. Pollution is anti-hormone. And I'll come to that in a minute. Eyes, ear, nose, throat, lead exposure and toxicity, including nerve damage, plastic, nanoplastic, microplastic. I will come to it in a minute. Just remember the names of BPA, which is bisphenol A. Plastic is not just plastic. Plastic has various ingredients, but there are 4 major rascals in plastic. Bisphenol A, which is called as BPA, antimony, formaldehyde, and DHT, which is called as phthalates. So next time you have plastic in your hand, I'll tell you what to do. Cancers, infertilities, hypertension, diabetes, myocardial infarction. The vulnerable really are the elderlies and the people who have comorbidities. But pollution affects children more because they breathe twice the rate as adults. We breathe 16 to 18 breaths per minute. Children breathe 30 to 35 breaths per minute. So they inhale much more polluted air than us. And it causes 6 to 10% loss of IQ in children. What happens in our body is a multidimensional cascade of dysregulation and hormones, free radical injuries. Pollution is an inflammatory substance which enters the body. So it is worse than your trans fats, it's worse than sugar, it's worse than salt, it's worse than anything else on earth. For people who are not very familiar, this is what your the marker is not showing here, but how your lung architecture is. Your blood vessels come in, air is filtered, pure air is formed with oxygen and it goes to various parts of the body. Pollution causes ciliary damage, it causes a lot of inflammations, it causes reversal of blood flow, and it is definitely oncogenic. Exposure causes acute and short-term, chronic and long-term. These are all later on irreversible damages which take place in the lungs. This is what your normal lung architecture looks like, and this is what happens in your right side with inflammation. Your blood flow decreases, a lot of inflammatory markers and cytokines come in. This is a picture very much classical to what COVID does to your lungs. So pollution does to our lungs every day, every minute we breathe this air. And unfortunately what happens is that we only talk of pollution in the winter months. Pollution is there in summer, it's there in monsoons, it's there 24 hours a day, 12 months a year. It causes cardiorespiratory metabolic dysfunction. It involves the blood, your lungs, your brain. So, very busy slide, but what more medical, but if you focus on the right side top column, from pro-inflammatory, it goes on to inflammatory markers. So these are all changes which take place over weeks, months, and years to precipitate cancers. We don't talk of lead and arsenic. These are very common ingredients in pollution. It causes nerve, skin, bladder, lung, kidney cancers, circulatory problems. Lead poisoning is extremely common, especially in children. And the first thing which you notice in children is change in handwriting. The second thing is change in behavior pattern. Third is loss of scholastic performance. If you see these three cardinal things apart from growth retardation in children, think of lead, please screen for lead. We keep talking of SOx and NOx. I'll skip this because this is again an oxidative stress in the body. Ozone is something which we don't talk of very commonly, but ozone is extremely harmful to your lungs and brain and heart. Pollution affects pregnancies perhaps the most because in pregnancy, your immune level is slightly down. You have an unborn fetus developing inside, and it causes a host of problems in the mother, host of problems in the placenta, smaller babies, stillbirths, higher frequency of premature births, and a lot of complications in the newborn, including genitourinary structural abnormalities, single kidneys, absent bladder. Imagine a child being born on this because you're breathing polluted air. It's not fair for our next generation. It causes a lot of brain damage. A study which has been published in Lancet, in this year itself, 20% of the world's type 2 diabetes mellitus is chronic exposure to PM 2.5. There you have it. And we keep searching for genetic markers. We keep searching for dietary counseling and nutritionists. It's pollution. A lot of people say, well, all the studies have been done internationally. None exists in India. There is a host of studies which are totally India-centric. Lancet, July 24. There is a 10 Indian study meta-analysis. The host of them. I won't read each one of them out. In Lancet again, June 22, a 10 India study meta-analysis. 7% of all deaths was due to air pollution. Delhi has the maximum death rate of 11.5% of all deaths because of pollution. British Medical Journal, New England Journal of Medicine. I've just picked up the few salient ones. But what I had mentioned earlier, this is the largest Indian city meta-analysis. PM 2.5 increase for 1 or 2 years increases brain strokes and myocardial infarction. Every 1% increase of PM10 micrograms causes long-term effects, up to 31% increase in heart attacks and almost 2 to 4% increase in strokes. There are global studies also which have been published in various cities exactly the same way. The largest one is in USA and Mexico City, which has been published. 26 cities meta-analysis shows exactly the same picture. Here they go into even greater level, in which they have done peptides, glucagon levels, leptin levels to show the effect on obesity and diabetes. There's a gentleman who you were asking about plastic. Plastic is something which is my favorite topic. I will address each and every one of your questions, though very briefly. Plastic has various levels. The worst ones in plastic are bisphenol A, phthalates, which is DTH, antimony, formaldehyde, and DEPH, which is class 2B carcinogen. So plastic is there everywhere. Plastic is there everywhere. The minute the baby is born, if the mother is not breastfeeding, the baby has a soother in the mouth, plastic. If the mother is not breastfeeding, you give milk in a bottle, plastic. All cough syrups, antibiotics, fever medicine, bottles, plastic. Every bottle which you buy in the market of water, plastic. Every microwave container which you put into your kitchen, into your microwave, use, reuse, there is no recycling. You're continuously using the same container, plastic. Your milk bags, plastic. Your contact lenses, plastic. Your cell phones are plastic, your credit cards are plastic, your laptops are plastic. There is no way you can get rid of plastic. But there are ways in innovation to use non-bisphenol A and non-phthalate plastic. Plastic itself is not the culprit. The ingredients which are bad in plastic are the culprits. Microplastic enters the body. There is enough published data in which they have actually isolated micro and nanoplastic from the tissues, and they have checked the levels of the microplastic fibers. 40 to 60% of placenta, brain, liver, kidneys, coronary arteries have microplastic. They have done different levels in different parts of the body and shown exactly in terms of strength per ml of the fluid. These are microplastics which you can see in the brain, lungs, and placenta in histopathology. So there is no disputing the fact. And when we say especially bisphenol A, it is anti-hormone. We call it as an endocrine disruptor compound. Ever wonder why more ladies in the age of 25 to 30 are going into infertility clinics? Plastic, take my word for it. Decreasing sperm count in men, plastic. It disrupts the receptors of estrogen. So remember, bisphenol A is anti-estrogen. Your cancers of the breast and cancer of the uterus, anti-estrogen, bisphenol A. I'll skip this. This is a very busy slide. It's just to tell you all the nonsense which plastic does in your body. Okay, so microplastic is less than 5 micrograms. Nanoplastic is less than 1 micrograms. What this does is, plastic routinely does not degrade in the environment. So if you throw a plastic bag, or if you throw a plastic bottle just onto the roadside when you're driving in your fancy cars, it can stay in the environment for 300 years. The present plastics all over the world stay in the environment for 3 centuries. Ultimately, they go into a phase what we call as leaching. They gradually disintegrate, they do not degrade, into plastic small fibers which then enter your body. The main risk is between 6 to 12 months of age. It's retained in the body for years. 3 times increased risk of cardiovascular events, myocardial infarction. Your cardiac plaques, when you have a MI, people say it's atherosclerotic. It's a fat deposit. It's not only fat, it's microplastic and nanoplastic deposits in the coronary arteries. There is a 7,000 articles meta-analysis study of all the articles which have been published on micro and nanoplastic. Aldehyde toxicity is equally bad. I won't go into the details. Antimony toxicity in plastic is equally bad. Phthalates, what we call as DHT, is there in almost every portion of liquids, cosmetics, body lotions which we use. Phthalates also cause asthma, adiposities, obesity in children, cancers of the breast, prostate. There is 100% increase in cancers in the last 30 years in India. 100. Last is leaching and the effects of storage and time. Water, when it is made in Bisleri or in Catch or in any other company, is made in the factory. Most of India, in fact, runs a temperature of 35 to 45 degrees in summer. It is transported through lorries, in which the temperature inner part is even more. Then it lies in the stores and the shops where we buy it. Very often it's lying outside. It stays at least for a month or 2 months, because these guys buy bottles and for thousands. So the effect of leaching is the environmental temperature the bottle is exposed to, the duration of time the water or the liquid is exposed to the plastic, and the content of micro and nanoplastic like BPA and DHT in it. There have been studies to show every 5 degrees increase in temperature. There have been studies to show every 1 week extra of storage in the bottle causes effect. Warmer the liquid, that means when you heat the liquid to feed a baby, greater the leaching effect. So these are all constituents which we are taking. There are studies in US, there are studies in Calcutta, there are studies in Oslo, in Norway, in every part of the world which are shown, especially the ones in US and New York. 80% of McDonald's contains 4 times the upper levels of micro and nanoplastic. So everything which is contained in packaging largely contains plastic, which then becomes micro and nanoplastic. I'll end my talk here. Thank you for your patience. So just very briefly, I won't go into the policies, and we have eminent lawyers and other very great statesmen here. There is a lot of work which is being done for substitutes for minus BPA and minus DHT. Those are readily available. And that's what India needs to embrace going forward. We cannot get rid of plastic, but we can make plastic which is less harmful, and plastic minus these 4 rascals to make our life a lot easier. Thank you.